Preview House. In today's episode, we will be looking at both pitching staffs, how the starters match up, the bullpen and the back end, and what the Astros hitters need to do against these pitchers when they start throwing, because they've got Nola, they've got Wheeler, they've got a couple weapons on the back end. So get ready we are set and we are a go for takeoff. Let's talk about Locked On Astros right now.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett Htown Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we're your daily Astros podcast. I'm Htown Wheelhouse. You can find me at Htown Wheelhouse on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Pretty much anywhere you get social media. Eric's not here tonight. He will be here Wednesday. He's on the 2-day IL. He's under the weather. We're trying to save his voice. He is on the World Series roster for Locked On Astros, so he will be here. Have no fear. Eric will be here. So get your rest, brother. Find him at Eric Talk Stros on Twitter. You can find him at Eric Huysman on Instagram. And just make sure that you like our channel and you subscribe to it. If you're on your way to work, if you're on your way home from work, make us your first listen, or heck, wrap your day up with us on Apple, Google, Odyssey, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. It's free and easy to upload. Remember, we're your team every single day. So let's get into this. Let's look at the Philadelphia Phillies. This is a team that nobody expected to be in the playoffs, the number 6 seed to be exact. I believe it's the largest win differential between two opponents in the World Series in Major League Baseball history. You have your Houston Astros, who absolutely slayed in the regular season, and they came out of a year where there were not a whole lot of teams that were picked to win 100-plus games. They were one of them that would probably get there. I remember early on, Eric and I talked about 94, 95, 97 wins, we were sure, but they finished the season with 106 wins. The Philly, they finished with 87. That's huge disparity, but like we know in the playoffs, anybody can get hot. Anybody can get hot at the right moment. And this is the third NL East team that we have faced in the World Series. So thank you, Leo Garcia. He says, first listen every single day. I appreciate your support. Yeah, I was lagging a little bit. I went back and forth between a page that was slowing me down, so I clicked out of that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But look, we are here for this start, and we hope that the starters don't lag like I just lagged here live on air. We hope that everything goes smoothly. And I've been looking at the numbers. I've been looking at this Philly team, and I want to take a deep dive into the 4 starters. And I'm going to tell you who I think the Philly starters are here in a second. I clearly think that the Astros have the advantage over the Phillies when it comes to pitching. And I really think that our depth is far superior to their depth. They have a couple ace pitchers, 2 guys that could clearly win a Cy Young just about any time when they're pitching their best. But we have 4 guys that are aces. We have 7 starters. We even have a guy, Will Smith, that hasn't even been on this roster yet, and he could make the World Series roster, and he literally beat the Astros and did very well against the Astros in the 2021 World Series. Let's not talk about that too much. But let's look at these starters. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, and more than likely Noah Syndergaard. If it's going to be a toss-up between Noah Syndergaard and Bailey Falter, and I'll get to each of these guys because I got numbers for y'all. The Houston Astros will probably see Aaron Nola in Game 1. Aaron Nola in Game 1 is absolutely lights out this year. He is having a phenomenal year. He has dominated the Houston Astros, and that's where I picked up his His line against the Astros in 2022, he's 2-0 with a 12.2 innings pitched, only giving up 6 hits, 0 runs, and 19 strikeouts, and only 1 walk. So Aaron Nola is going to give you everything he can. You're going to hope that Aaron Nola comes in and stubs his toe a little bit, struggles to make it into the postseason, doesn't do as well as he's normally done. But Aaron Nola is a guy that, he is, for all intents and purposes, he is their ace. He is their Cy Young, probably award winner this year. I would be shocked if it was somebody else. He is a phenomenal pitcher. I actually watched him pitch at LSU. He was teammates with Alex Bregman, and these guys were phenomenal to watch in college. And Aaron Nola's only gotten better. So tonight we are going to focus on the pitching. We are not going to talk a whole lot about hitting. We're going to save that for tomorrow night, and then we're going to just talk about overall predictions come Wednesday and Thursday, give you a crossover episode Thursday evening with the Locked On Phillies host. I went on for Locked On Today or Locked On Now, and Peter Bukowski, who does Locked On Packers and the Locked On Nows, or Locked On Today, I should say, interviewed both of us. And we didn't really talk much smack, but here's the deal. I'm approaching this series with a cautious optimism. I'm optimistic at the outcome, and I believe the Astros can get the job done. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse, because the Phillies are to be respected. Aaron Nola's slash line versus lefties, 200, 247, 310. It's pretty solid. Against righties, 237, 264, 382. So he gets the job done on the mound. This guy throws. He can throw for velocity. He can throw the hook. He is a very solid pitcher. He's going to be your starting pitcher in this series. And hey, Guy Webster says Nola is going to get rocked. All right. Hey, you know what? Maybe he does. And I really hope that he does. But the bottom line is this guy hasn't just pitched well in the regular season. He's pitched well in the postseason as well. But Zach Wheeler, who is another ace, okay? It's all right. Sorry, I had to pause here. Mr. Corona says, if history has told us anything, we don't take easy the NL East. We don't take them lightly. Look, here's the deal. I understand that, but I'm going to make the case tonight that this is not 2019. This is not 2021. This is 2022, and we have a completely different ball club that's been assembled. So we have Zach Wheeler, who I think will be their number 2 pitcher. He has never faced the Astros, I think, his career. I was looking, he is 1-1 versus he is 1-1 in the postseason. He has a 1.78 ERA. He started 4 games, 25.1 innings pitched, 10 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 home run, 3 walks, 3 hit by pitch, and 25 Ks. Versus the AL West, though, he is 1-1 with a 2.0 ERA, 3 games started, 18 innings pitched, 19 hits, 4 earned runs, 24 Ks, 6 runs overall. His slash line versus lefties, 201, 269, 342. Righties, a little bit higher, 240, 278, 361. Zach Wheeler is going to be dealing. Aaron Nola is going to be dealing. What the Astros have to do, and the key against these 2 starters, is they can't expand the strike zone. They can't allow the pitcher to get the outside corners or to get the balls called off the plate, because if they start swinging early at pitches off the plate, more than likely the umpire is going to expand the zone. And the Phillies are hot. So if you're pitching for Philadelphia and you're on fire and you're stymieing the bats of Houston, all that's going to take are a couple hits here or there, put a crooked number on the board, and they can really hold Houston in check. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be much more of a dogfight than New York was. I think it's going to be more like the Seattle series, and this may go 5 or 6 games. And the Astros again very well could sweep them. I don't think many people call the Astros sweeping the Yankees. I know the Yankees aren't great this year, but I think everybody thought the Yankees were at least going to get game 3. They were at least going to have a game, win the Cole game. The Astros have to go, they're up 3-0. They get to the 4th game. Maybe, I just you just thought New York was going to win at least one. I mean, they punked out. They got what slapped. That was a butt whooping. So we have Nola, you have Wheeler, and then after that, you have Suarez, you have Syndergaard, and you have Falter. I'm not concerned about any of these guys. I'll be real honest with you. Ranger Suarez versus Houston is 0-1. He only pitched 3 innings, an 18 ERA, gave up 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 home runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. If they may start Ranger Suarez in game 2. I don't know. If they surprise the Astros and get game 1, they might save Wheeler for game 3. But I don't think they flip those two. I think you've got to go Nola 1, Wheeler 2. But his slash line against lefties is 197, 234, and 303. Against righties, his slash line is 263, 336, and 420. So it's a lot better. Yeah, I mean, look, our pitchers, and I'm going to talk about that when we get to the Houston Astros pitchers in the next segment. They are going to have to shut down Hoskins, Harper, Schwarber. They're going to have to shut down because Gene Segura is on that team. We didn't even say anything about him the other day. But this team is different. This team is a lockdown bullpen. So let me go through Noah Syndergaard and Bailey Falter. Noah Syndergaard versus Houston, 1-0, 2.89 ERA, 9.1 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 home run, 6 walks, 1 hit by pitch, and 4 strikeouts. This postseason, he's 0-0 with a 1.69 ERA, 3 games, 1 of them started, 5.1 innings pitched total, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 home run, and 4 strikeouts. His slash line's a little less to be desired against lefties, 272, 324, 424. I think that bodes well for your lefties, for your Jordans, for your Tuckers, okay? Righties, 256, 295, 395. So Syndergaard, he's a shell of his former self. He's not as great as he used to be, but at the same time, you got to respect him. And then you have Bailey Falter. I was talking to the Locked On Phillies host, and he said it all depends on matchups. It depends on where Philly is in the series. It depends on how many wins or losses they have going into that start. They may start Falter first. He's only pitched 1 inning against Houston. He gave up 2 hits and no runs. So that's not really a sample size you want to go by. In the postseason, he started 1 game. He only pitched 0.2 innings, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 home run, 1 base on ball, a 54 ERA. Now, why do I say him possibly as a starter? I think he's more of an opener than a starter. I think when he goes into the game, it's got to be a bullpen type game. They did that against the Padres. And the Phillies won 87 games. They were not a great team, but they got hot. They fired their manager. They hired a new guy, and he took them to the playoffs. And I like what Jay Roberts says. He says, I don't care about a sweep. I just want 4 wins before them. Isn't that always the goal? Man, I love that. That's so funny. It's like I read that and I kind of chuckled inside when I first read it before I posted it, because that is true. You just want to get 4 wins before they get 4 wins. But I really like our chances against this staff overall. Now, I'm going to talk about the back end of the bullpen later on. I want to talk about our 4 starters. But before I do, I want to talk about I want to make sure that you're getting the best information you can if you're going to somewhere where you get all your sports betting information. I want you to go to BetOnline.net. Let me tell you about BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net has you covered for all your sports wagering needs. It is football season, and it's the start of a new basketball season. The latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis of every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So let's get into this Astros pitching staff. And I'm just going to go through some numbers because I know recently we've gained a lot of audience, and some of y'all are newer. And I want to address something because I want y'all to know that I actually appreciate when you guys write reviews. I would hope and desire, of course, like anybody, that all the reviews are 5-star reviews, but they're not always. And I saw a review today that actually at first I was a little miffed by it. I was kind of like, that kind of stings a little, but I like what he said, and I just want y'all to know that anything that happens on this show, we always go back and look at it. But he said, I tried this pod for a few weeks during the playoffs because I starved for Astros content. These guys are fanboys from Astros Twitter with the microphone. Okay. Limited stat knowledge, lots of mistakes while providing analysis, which I assume indicates a lack of preparation. Maybe I'll try again next year to see if they've grown. I hope, because maybe when you come back, we'll have 10,000 subscribers. But we actually have grown. We've grown exponentially. So I do appreciate the constructive criticism. Look, I'm here for it. Stuff like that makes myself and Eric makes us want to be better. So thank you for encouraging us to continue to knock the ball out of the park as we sit at number 8 on the charts, on the Apple Podcast charts, and the first time we've appeared in the top 200 sports on Spotify. That's a huge thing. We're the only MLB Locked On show on that right now. We are currently ranked number 1 in MLB for podcasts, for views, and downloads on YouTube. So thank y'all. You guys and girls make us your first listen every day, and you guys help us. So let's look at this. Framber, JV, McCullers, and Javier. Framber Valdez, this is in the playoffs. He's 1-0 with 2 games started, 12.2 innings pitched, 8 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 runs total, 3 walks, 15 strikeouts. Versus lefties, 183 with an on-base percentage of 286. Versus righties are hitting 230 with an on-base percentage of 302. Versus Philly, Framber is 1-0 with 5 hits, 10 strikeouts, 2 hits, and 1 walk. Phenomenal job. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about, Brown. He says, I'm not sure how good their pitching is. I just went through their starting rotation. 2 of the pitchers I'm concerned about. The other 2 or 3 they have, I'm just simply not. Justin Verlander, 1-0 in the postseason. 2 games started, 10 innings pitched, 13 hits, 7 runs, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 14 strikeouts. Versus lefties this year, 163. Versus righties, 208. I didn't have the on-base percentage for some reason. Against Philadelphia, listen to this. 1-0, 5 innings pitched, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts. So there you have Justin Verlander, who has had a good amount of success in this one game versus the Philadelphia Phillies. Now you have Lance McCullers. McCullers, who looked a little shaky, who I wonder if he really had his full strength back, but he ended up working his way out of it. He is, versus Philadelphia, he is 0-1 with the 1.50 ERA, 6 innings pitched, 1 run, 1 home run, and 5 Ks. For some reason, I had his postseason numbers pulled up here a second ago, but I don't have it. So I'll give that to you later on in the show or maybe tomorrow. Christian Javier, 1-0 in the postseason, 135 ERA, 6.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 home run, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. We have been lights out. This pitching staff, the starters, I mean, they've given up most of the runs, but you know what happened? The back end helped them out. The bullpen came through for the Houston Astros. And one of the areas of concern that I have, and I think the Astros still have the advantage over the Phillies, but the Phillies don't have a bad back end of their bullpen. Okay. So the Astros just, I think, runs a little bit deeper than what the Astros have. I don't know if y'all saw the poll question that I put up on Twitter, but y'all answer that. I asked, who would you rather have start in? Would you rather this order, JV, Framber, Lance McCullers, or JV, Lance McCullers, and Framber? If you flip Framber and Lance McCullers Jr., this is how it would shake out if you went all 7 games. Justin Verlander game 1, Framber Valdez game 2, Lance McCullers Jr. game 3, Christian Javier game 4, Justin Verlander game 5, Framber Valdez game 6, Lance McCullers Jr. game 7. So the back end of that, so Murphy says JV, Lance McCullers, and Framber. Okay, so if you have that, you'll have Justin Verlander 1, Lance McCullers 2, Framber 3, Javier 4. Then you get to your 5th game, Justin Verlander, game 6, LMJ, Framber for a closeout game if they take it to game 7. Look, I think any combination of the Astros and the Phillies, the Astros starters, 2 and 3, 3 and 2, however you want to swap them around, I think either combination is a winning combination. My question is, do you want McCullers in a game 7 or do you want Framber in a game 7? In this year, I'll be real honest. I think I want Framber Valdez in a game 7, personally. McCullers is a big game pitcher, but he has struggled, and he struggled out last. And I don't think you can afford to struggle when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies because their bats are not as cold as the Yankees' bats. I mean, their bats are straight fire right now. So those are the starters. That's how the starters shake out. And so let's look at the Phillies relief pitchers, and then let's look at the Astros relief pitchers because there's something I want to compare or talk to y'all about with the Astros bullpen in 2022 versus the bullpen in like 2019. When you go back and look at that bullpen, that roster was crazy. Houston pitching is greater than the Philly bats. I agree. I think pitching is going to win this series, and I think the depth goes to the Astros. Look, let me draw a parallel real quick before I move on to this. Everybody keeps citing how the Braves came in and stole things from us. Everybody keeps citing how the Nationals came in and stole it from us, and they were the lower seeds, wild card, blah, blah, blah. But neither of those teams were the 2022 team. Now we're about to start talking. We're going to talk about the relief pitchers. 2019 against the Nationals, we had Presley, Harris, Osuna, Devo, Josh James, Brad Peacock, Rondon, and Smith. That was your relief corps. Now, listen to this upgrade. Urquidy, I don't know if he'll start or if he'll be in the pen. Stanek, Montero, Neris, Brown, Abreu, Garcia. Is Martinez there or does Smith take his place? And Presley. I think the 2022 relief staff, the bullpen of this team is far better than the 2019 staff, even with Cole, even with Greinke. So Steven asked a question here, and I will post your question. He says, why not Lance, Valdez, Verlander, Javier? Because you are not going to take Justin Verlander out of his starting role. You're just not going to do that. That's not something that you're going to see. And Joseph says Houston actually has better pitching than the 90s Braves. The 2022 ERA is the best. You're right. And Seth Martinez, that is correct. Andrew probably won't be on this roster. It's kind of a shame that he didn't really get to be utilized. But Will Smith, Crush City says Will Smith's winning back-to-back rings. Look, Will Smith was nails in the World Series. And if they put him out there, he's been in big games. So I'm not worried at all about Will Smith. But let's talk about the Phillies back into the bullpen because we know our relievers. Let me give y'all a little summary of this Phillies bullpen. Okay. The Phillies bullpen is really finally a strength of the team and not a weakness. For years, it was a weakness. Rob Thompson basically has kind of had it when it comes to deploying his bullpen properly. Kind of like he's kind of done a master class in Philadelphia, like Dusty has. Okay, you have Sir Anthony Domingo. Okay, this guy can go multiple innings. He can do multiple inning saves. He was a midseason acquisition. Dave Roberts was a midseason acquisition. He's been an asset. Then you got Zach Eflin, who has been a really good reliever, transitioning from a starting role because of a knee issue. And so their bullpen is a 3.19 ERA and 42 and 1/3 innings pitched. Okay. But the Astros are so much deeper and have so much more depth than the Philadelphia Phillies. Ryan Presley, a perfect 9 for 9 in save opportunities. And they have the best ERA for relief staffs with 2.80. And that's this year in MLB. They've got a setup guy. They've got guys like Abreu. They've got Neris. They got Montero. They got guys that can go the length. They got Hunter Brown who can go multiple innings. You got Luis Garcia that can go 5 innings. I mean, this team is like a roided up bodybuilder. This team is like Hulk Hogan at his prime. I mean, this team is a heavyweight Rocky IV, Rocky Balboa versus the Russian Ivan Drago. That is how good they are. Okay. Someone said Smith does suck. I don't know. Smith has a ring, and Smith pretty much dominated the Astros in 2021. I don't know that he sucks. I think he had some bad luck when he first got to Houston, and we have a recency bias issue with our fan base. And I get that because I'm not a big Will Smith fan. But if they put him on this roster, has Dusty Baker not managed this roster to perfection to 7 straight wins? That doesn't happen without Dusty. That doesn't happen without Dusty deploying these guys in the right place. And a lot of people didn't like his move with Hunter Brown. I thought that was a great position to put Hunter Brown in because Hunter Brown needs to be in those situations. Okay. So basically, the Astros pitchers have got to keep the ball in the yard. Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Alec Baum. I mean, even though some of these guys don't have high averages, they're hitting 2, 3, 4 home runs each, and they are mashing the ball. I think Bryce Harper is having probably one of the best postseasons that we've seen in recent memory. He's a guy that's hungry. He's a guy that's got moxie. He's a guy that's got bravado. But he also hasn't run into the Houston Astros pitching staff. Well, actually, they did. We beat them 2 games out of 3, and we neutralized Bryce Harper in the regular season. And it's a different set of circumstances. But at the end of the day, the Houston Astros, I mean, this pitching staff, again, I'll show you since you're watching press notes right here. All I see are zeros on the ERAs. All I see are strikeouts. I see 0, 0, 0. I mean, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. I mean, this is an impressive group. 30 plus innings. They've only given up 3 runs. 3 runs. 3. 1, 2, 3. Not 3 runs per game. Not 3 runs per 9. Like 3 runs overall. That is absolutely amazing. And Hector Neris, can we talk about Hector Neris? This guy's having himself a series. This guy's playing with like a man with his hair on fire. He worked 2/3 of a scoreless inning in, I believe it was game 2. He had 1 strikeout. In game 1 of the ALCS, he had another scoreless inning for a hold. He worked 4 times in the playoffs, and this was before game 4 against the Yankees. This is his first trip to the postseason. He's allowed 0 hits. He's essentially throwing a they haven't hit the ball yet thing. Okay, I'm not going to say the word on air. But in the regular season, he was tied for 3rd in the AL for holds with 25. He was tied 5th in appearances with 70. He allowed an opponent batting average of just 205 on the year. I mean, you even got Ryan Stanek, who set the regular season ERA record for a relief pitcher, and he's only been He's only pitched like 1 inning, like in 2 games. They haven't even utilized him. And what was cool was I reached out to him on Instagram and I said, "Hey, congratulations, Ryan. We're so proud of you. Good luck. Keep going. Go get that trophy." And he says, "Thank you. I appreciate the support." So I know that Ryan Stanek is a big fan of the show. Rafael Montero, guys. Rafael Montero in the ALCS had a 9 ERA. He had 1 inning pitched. He gave up 1 earned run. But that was one of the 3 earned runs that this bullpen's given up, and that's it. I mean, how much more do we have to see? How much more do we have to give you evidence wise or crunch numbers to see that the Astros are the odds-on favorite to win this? But I'm going to wrap this show up with these next few minutes, okay? The Houston Astros know what's in front of them. They know they have a hot Phillies team who, when you go into Citizens Bank Park, I believe that's what it's called, in Philadelphia, that crowd is a ruckus. That crowd runs deep Philadelphia red. They bleed the Phillies baseball. They love it. It's their first time in the World Series since '08, and they are feeling really, really, really good. But the Astros have the perfect counterpunch. The perfect counterpunch for the Houston Astros is their pitching. And if you can stymie the hot bats, if you can keep the crowd from going, look, they did it. And I'm glad that the Yankees put up a fight in game 4. If the Yankees don't put up a fight in game 4 and make the Astros actually compete, then I kind of am worried about that sweep, because that sweep didn't really tell you anything about who you are or tell you about yourself. But yeah, Guy Webster says, "Bury me in the H." I just loved it. I loved every one of those guys that have been there look like they were celebrating for the first time. Alex Bregman, all 6 years of his professional career, has been to an ALCS. And 4 of his 6 years, he's been to 4 World Series. Like, what? Like, are you kidding me? These guys have done so much. They have accomplished so much and done it on a consistent basis. Credit's got to go to Jim Crane for getting these players as became a Houston Astro. The Houston Astros may not have the best farm system, but they have the best player development, hands down. And yes, Altuve does need to show up in the World Series. Altuve does need to get on base. Hey, he ended the ALCS with a multi-hit game. So listen, folks, this has been a solo edition of Locked On Astros, and I've all but confirmed, I believe, Wednesday night we will have Robert Flores. He will be with us at 7:30 will be the airtime for that. So come back and hang out with us. Tomorrow night we'll talk about the lineups and the hitters, and we'll compare both teams and see who needs to get hot for the Astros and who we need to keep from getting hot with the Philadelphia Phillies. And so just make sure that you check out Locked On Sports today. Locked On Sports, after you make the Houston Astros Locked On show your first listen, make sure that you make your next listen Locked On Sports today. The big stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Guys, I'm Htown Wheelhouse. I'm sitting in for Eric Huysman. Just pray for him. He's not feeling well. I put him on the 2-day IL. I said we need you for the World Series. So he's Eric Huysman is announced for the Locked On Astros World Series roster. He's not going to be left off. We got him coming in, and even if he's a righty, we still need him. He actually has great splits against lefties. So stay tuned in to Locked On Astros. Thank y'all so much for hanging out. Gosh, this is so much fun. Like, I'm so glad we're at the World Series, but it means the end is near. And we just got to take this one game at a time and let the Astros take care of business. And I promise you, you won't be mad at the results. Remember, we are your team every day. Go Stros.